What does it take to get in the best shape of your life? Consistency, discipline to show up, even when you don't feel like it. It can be hard to stick to your fitness goals long term, but the process is actually pretty simple. So that's what I want to talk about to give you some practical tips on what you can start doing, but also what helped me as far as getting my mind right, my mindset. It's so important to have the right mindset because your thoughts lead to actions. If your thoughts are positive and uplifting, then the body will follow. On the other hand, if you're depressed, anxious, you have negative beliefs about yourself, then you're not going to have the same desire or drive to pursue your goals when times get hard. I understand times are hard right now for a lot of people. Maybe you lost your job, having money issues, family problems, girlfriend just broke up with you, boyfriend broke up with you. If that's the case, use that negativity to fuel a positive result. That is incredible fuel to getting in the best shape of your life. You don't want to reflect too much on the things you cannot control because you want to be freed up to work on the things you can. So for example, your genetics, they're predetermined already. You can't control something like that. You can, however, maximize your own genetic potential with everything else I talk about in this video. So next, I want to talk about nutrition, diet. This is probably the biggest hurdle for most people. Eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, assuming that your goals are related to body composition, i.e. building muscle, losing fat. So 1 gram per pound, eat maybe 3 to 5 meals a day, depending on how much you weigh. So if you're 150 pounds, that's 150 grams of protein per day, and you eat 5 meals, that's 30 grams of protein at every meal. Make a list of all the lean protein sources that contain that much protein. Once you understand that, you can buy the ingredients, prep the food, pack it in containers, and follow through with eating it. Now, you don't need to be a robot about this. You don't have to make it super complicated. The simpler that it is in the beginning, the better it's going to be to stick to. Another thing with diet and nutrition that trips people up is eating the wrong foods. So clear out all the cupboards and pantry of the processed food, the snacks, things with a lot of sugar. The reason is it's hard to resist the temptation to eat that stuff when you have a craving. Me personally, I have a lot of willpower, and even for myself, I can't resist eating that stuff if it's available. So I don't even keep it around. I find that a lot of times the hassle of going to the store, picking something up and bringing it back is enough to stop me from making that decision. Instead, drink a tall glass of water or tea or coffee. Read a book, go on a walk, anything to take your mind off that craving. Maybe it's just about going to bed a little bit earlier so you avoid nighttime snacks. Whatever it is, there needs to be some sort of guardrails when it comes to diet and nutrition. Next, I want to talk about training. Now, with training, working out, I think the biggest thing for people who are just starting out is you got to go to the gym even when you don't feel like it. And this brings up the idea of what's the difference between discipline and a habit. When you first start lifting weights or exercising, you might not necessarily enjoy it, and you have to psych yourself up or talk yourself into doing it on a consistent basis. That takes discipline. On the other hand, once you start enjoying it and doing it often, it becomes more of a habit. You don't have to think about it as much to get yourself to go. But once it becomes more of a habit and you start enjoying the gym, now comes the question of how do you optimize your workouts and the time that you're at the gym? This comes down to choosing the right training program for your goals, using the right, rep ranges and number of sets, mind-muscle connection, which is to maximize time under tension. Mind-muscle connection helps your muscles do all of the work so that you get an effective workout. And lastly, with the effort, as it relates to workouts, at a certain point, just going through the motions when you're at the gym is not going to get you any better results. To break through that plateau, you have to increase the amount of effort. And This kind of goes back to mindset. When you're at the gym, you should always mentally try to beat your last workout, even if physically you can't do it because life happens, you didn't get the best sleep, or you didn't have the best diet. That's okay. But as long as mentally you push yourself to 100%, that's what you want each and every time. So besides diet, training, and your mindset, I want to talk about rest and recovery. This is a huge piece that I think people neglect because life happens. Life is hard. There are so many distractions nowadays that pull us away from our fitness goals. When it comes to sleep, I think it starts with your nighttime habits. Before bed, are you scrolling on your phone a bunch? Do you play video games? That affects your deep sleep. And during deep sleep, your pituitary gland releases precious hormones that are crucial for repairing and rebuilding muscle, tendons, ligaments, to help you avoid injury. It helps reduce stress levels, which reduces cortisol. Cortisol is a catabolic hormone that breaks down muscle. So everything sort of starts and ends with getting a good night's sleep. With that being said, I think it's also important to consider how you spend your time throughout the day. So you're at the gym for maybe what, an hour a day, 23 hours. What activities do you partake in? What does your daily routine look like? Are you watching adult content and releasing your semen all the time? One of the things that affects your testosterone, your hormones as a man, is releasing your seed too much. So once I was able to conquer lust and quit watching porn, I turned into an absolute beast in the gym. My workouts got better, more reps, more sets, more intensity, looking better aesthetically, but also outside of the gym, improving my relationships, my connection with God, how I feel about myself and self-confidence. All of it originated from just quitting this one bad habit, watching adult content. Aside from that, are substances getting in the way of you reaching your goals? For me, when I quit using substances, that was like another thing that helped me break through a plateau. For the longest time, I would smoke weed every day, thinking that it was okay because, hey, I can maintain a decent physique smoking weed. But it's just not a long-term sustainable thing to do because you'll find that over time, you get lazy, whether you know it or not. You might be thinking that your workouts are intense, but they're actually not. And then you don't realize it until you actually quit, is the thing. Another thing is drinking alcohol. I think it's pretty obvious how alcohol hurts your fitness progress, but it becomes a question of like, how balanced of a life do you want to live? I'm not here to preach that you should quit drinking or anything like that. I'm just here to say my personal experience when I stopped drinking, especially as I've gotten older, it has increased my performance by so much. My ability to recover from workouts and overall just live day to day. Because once you're in your mid-30s and you get drunk or even buzzed, that stays with you for several days. Like workouts are not the same. You know, with rest and recovery, I think another thing that kind of goes off of this is spirituality, your connection with God. I was reading the Bible this morning, and in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8, this verse says, "For bodily exercise profits little, but godliness profits in all things." So I thought that was a pretty powerful verse because it's easy to get caught up in the physical and bodily exercise. Like I gotta look a certain way. I gotta hit a PR in the gym. It's all about this outer shell, right? I used to be obsessed with presenting myself to the world a certain way. And to some extent, I still think about that too much from time to time, but I gotta remind myself that bodily exercise profits little, but following after Christ is what gives me true fulfillment. So if life is hard for you right now, you can distract yourself with trying to get in the best shape of your life. But at a certain point, that might not be enough. It probably will get to a point where you're still searching for that next thing that's going to fill that void. And personally, what did it for me was bettering my relationship with God, following after Christ, and living as I believe we're called to live. Lastly, supplements. Supplements, I've kind of softened up my stance a little bit. I used to be anti-supplement, like, oh, you should just optimize your other habits. I stopped taking pre-workout. But I think if there are tools available that will help you build muscle and get in shape quicker, easier, then why not use those tools? Things like pre-workout, whey protein, creatine. These three are the big ones. But also you have multivitamins, minerals, fish oils, herbals. There's a lot of things you can try. And I'm not a doctor, so you should probably consult with your health professional before starting anything new. But supplements can be a good thing to add to your program. Granted, supplements should get you the final 10%, not the initial 90. You should already be optimizing 90% and at capacity. And then the supplements take you to that next level, helps you break a plateau or gives you that little bit extra. I think a lot of beginners make the mistake of thinking that supplements are going to do the work for them when they slack off on other areas, but they don't work like that. Once you're at 90%, the supplements give you that final 10 to help you achieve the best physique, get in the best shape possible. Hopefully that helps you out. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, or you can also send me an email at david@mindbodyprime.com. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, see ya.